up, guys? I'm Alex.
I'm Jason. We're the Table Monkeys, and today we are going to continue our discussion about steroids.
Those PEDs.
That juice, the saucity sauce.
That extra gas.
Yeah, getting juiced up. So, we did a video a couple weeks ago talking about steroids and arm wrestling, and is it cheating, and that kind of stuff. And obviously, got a bunch of comments, got a bunch of views.
Yeah.
So, we figured we'd just continue this discussion, maybe make a series about it, because not a lot of people talk about it in the arm wrestling world, and
I think people should talk about it.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
Yeah.
Not only because are people using it, but also just to clarify a lot of misconceptions, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So one of the big ones is we kind of got these, we got a few comments, and if you look through other videos about steroid use and stuff on YouTube, you'll see this comment a lot, where people have this belief that like they would have been a world champion if they were just willing to stick a needle in their ass, but because they weren't willing to take steroids, they weren't going to become a world champion, and that's just really disheartening to them.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why they believe it's cheating, because
yeah, I mean that's in the whole other video, but the whole point is this misconception that it's some magic pill.
And it's just not. Like, at the top of every sport, you have the perfect combination of genetics, work ethic, discipline, combined with perfect diet and perfect training plan. And then they're also adding steroids to that. You know?
Yeah, and the bottom line is, yes, they do work, okay, but they don't do the work for you. Unless you have the work ethic and the discipline to implement the perfect diet plan and the perfect training plan, your physical, like, you're not going to reach your physical limit. And once you reach your physical genetic limit, that's when PEDs become necessary for a sport, right?
Yeah, for specific sports. If your sport requires it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of sports do, because there's a PED for almost to enhance almost every attribute.
Yeah, exactly.
Possible.
So it can help you in almost every sport, but certain sports like bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, track and field, those kind of sports, there's a lot of steroid use. It's kind of impossible to believe that you're going to get to the top of the Olympia stage without using PEDs. Yeah. Now, with that being said, if PEDs had never ever been invented, the exact same people would be at the top. The exact same 10 guys that are on the Olympia stage would be the 10 best bodybuilders in the world.
You can look at pictures of Ronnie Coleman when he was definitely natural.
Yeah,
and he's a freak then.
It's beyond what 99.9% of anybody else in the world with steroids could even achieve. Yeah. What he looks like naturally, and that's just the bottom line, is that genetics are the ultimate. Nothing can outdo genetics. So like in our other video, we talk about basketball freaks like Zion Williamson, or like the ultimate freak, Wilt Chamberlain. Like, no steroid's going to make you 7'2" with a 48-inch vert. There's no drug for that. Okay, there is a drug that might make you jump a little higher, or might make you a little stronger. Maybe something will make your hands and your head grow a little bit.
Yeah, but with a skill sport,
but it's not going to add 5 inches to your height.
With a skill sport like basketball, sure, steroids might help a little bit, like help you a little bit stronger or get faster, but because it's so skill based, steroids aren't going to play that big of a factor in basketball. Yeah, with those three factors that Alex mentioned earlier, so your physical abilities, your work ethic, and your discipline, steroids don't do anything for your work ethic or your discipline. I know now some people might argue the work ethic. Of course, there are some steroids that are high in androgens that make you aggressive and just want to fucking get the workout done, but that's not having work ethic, and that's not gonna, the work ethic ties into your diet plan and your sleep and your recovery, and just maintaining like what you need to maintain to be a world champion. There's no drug for that, you know? No. And then when it comes to arm wrestling, because arm wrestling is such a skill sport as well, are steroids as necessary in arm wrestling as they are in, say, bodybuilding or powerlifting? Probably not, and definitely not in lighter weight classes where you can't push your body weight to a stupid level.
And even in the heavier weight classes, not until you're at a top level. So, like we said, they work. How good do steroids work? How well do they work? You can do your own research. We like Greg Doucette, more plates, more dates. Who was the other guy we were talking about? Yeah, Nick's Strength and Power is really good. These are guys that do a lot of videos. I mean, More Plates and More Dates and Greg, they talk about this stuff a lot, like more science and stuff based. Bottom line, you can expect to gain somewhere between 10 and 20% on your performance. So if you can do 100 pounds on something and you take steroids, you might be able to do 120, best case scenario, probably more like 110, 115, right? Now that's just to make the math simple, obviously. So unless you're within 10% or 20% of the top, there's no point. Well, not no point, but it's not because of PEDs that you didn't make it. That's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now we should get into when should you take steroids? And the bottom line that we want to put across is that it's never justified to take steroids unless it is medically necessary and given to you by a doctor.
Yeah, so as we talked in our last video, there's a big spectrum of steroids. A lot of people have this other misconception where they think you're either natural or you're Ronnie Coleman. And that's just also not the case. There's a large spectrum, as we talked about, and in the very bottom of that spectrum is where it's medically needed, when people need to be on what's called HRT or TRT, so hormone replacement therapy or testosterone replacement therapy. Yeah. I personally am on testosterone replacement therapy because I had cancer. I only have one testicle. I went through chemotherapy, a bunch of medical reasons why my natural testosterone was just at an all-time low. The doctor said, equivalent to like a 90-year-old man.
Yeah, so that's what I would like to call your level of testosterone assisted, not enhanced.
Exactly. Where Ronnie Coleman at Olympia, or who just won, Big Ramy just won, that's enhanced, obviously. You know what I mean? The
difference in cycle, like the amount of drugs that he's on and then the dosage that he's on
versus an HRT cycle is completely different. Yeah. So medically prescribed, if you're old enough that your natural hormone levels are low, a doctor can prescribe it for you. There are some kids that have pituitary gland issues and stuff where their body just doesn't produce it. They might be prescribed it. You might have, like I said, medical issues like chemotherapy, or you might have muscle atrophy from something like AIDS. There's a lot of different reasons why steroids can be helpful and prescribed medically and why you should take them. Yeah. Aside from that, it's a personal decision.
Definitely.
And if your sport, like we said, if you want to be on Mr. Olympia stage, then part of your personal decision along your path to that goal is going to be steroids.
Yeah, you're just going to have to accept that fact, whether you like it or not, unfortunately.
And now that doesn't mean that not doing steroids is what kept you off the Olympia stage. Unless you're within 10% of the top, steroids are not the deciding factor.
Yeah. So when should you consider
steroids? Why do people consider? Because a lot of people take them. There's a lot of people that are on them, and they take them for a lot less reason than that they're 10% away from being the world champion at whatever it is they're pursuing, right?
Yeah, but steroids are a very serious decision to make. So you have to make sure that you know all the risks and all the rewards, and you really have a good reason for why you're going to start taking them.
Yeah, so one of the first things to consider is that they're drugs, and drugs are addictive.
Yes.
Bottom line. They do work, and what happens? Somebody takes something and they get a little bit of more muscle than normal, or they feel a little better in the gym, their bench goes up by 50 pounds, something like that happens, and they want more, and they want more, and they want it all the time, and they need it, and they want it, and then before you know it, you're on like 7 different compounds, and you're fucking taking all this different shit, and you're having all these different side effects.
And you're jacking cars so you can pay for all your steroid cycles.
It's just madness.
It's a mess.
Yeah, obviously that we're exaggerating, but the point is that you get addicted to the gains. You get addicted to gains just on protein shake. You know what I mean? Like you're addicted to gains on fucking peanut butter and jelly. Like it doesn't matter what you're eating. You're just addicted to the gym. As am I. As are most people that train. It's the feeling a pump, feeling stronger, feeling accomplishment, seeing change in your body. It's rewarding as fuck. So when you can take something that just makes that happen faster, right? Because that's really what it is. What you can accomplish in 3 years naturally maybe ends up taking 6 months on steroids or 3 months on steroids, depending on how aggressive you want to be about it. Yeah. Now again, a lot of people are going to hear that and be like, oh fuck, well then why am I not on them? Yeah. Because there's a lot of shit that goes with it.
There's a lot of risks, a lot of bad side effects that can happen.
Right, and not just the side effects, the idea that it is a serious decision. Once you start them, it's not easy to come off them, and not just because of they're addictive. Your body gets fucked up.
Yeah, and you got to take post-cycle therapies.
Or you have to just
smart.
Yeah, or you just have to start HRT. Like a lot of people, not a lot, but I know of a few friends of mine, and this is a common case for other people who are prescribed HRT, are people who have abused steroids in the past, right, and their system now doesn't produce testosterone naturally anymore, so they need it from an extrasensual source, like they need it from a prescription. So that's a whole nother thing that you have to consider. You can like, everybody reacts differently. You can fuck your system up with one cycle, you know, and then and one cycle, no PCT properly, and then all of a sudden your testosterone levels are fucked, and that's a really bad place to be. Again, we talked about in the other video, having low test levels and having your system get fucked up from abusing these things is like a world of problems.
That's why it's such a serious decision, right?
Yeah.
when it comes to training, I'm fucking addicted to training as well. So I know I would love steroids. I know I would love to recover more, and so I could train harder and train more often
and see the results.
Exactly, and I know that once I got those results, I wouldn't be too excited about losing them in the next few months when I come off them.
Yeah,
I would probably want to stick on them forever, and I probably know that if I do make the decision, it's going to be a commitment for life. I'm not gonna come off. Like, the only reason I would take steroids personally is once I've reached my natural potential, and or I get so good at arm wrestling that WL starts calling and they start writing contracts.
Yeah,
those are the only two reasons why I would consider. And if none of those two things happen, and I'm in my 40s and my testosterone starts to drop, then I have no problems with starting to take testosterone for that reason.
And again, taking testosterone in that situation again is more of an assisted situation. So you're not actually enhancing yourself at that point. You're just trying to maintain what it is you've worked 20 years of natural training to achieve, right?
Exactly.
Like a lot of guys that go on HRT, that like Joe Rogan, for example, that's probably exactly how you would assess what he's done. Is he loved to train, he trained his ass off his whole life, and then once he got to a certain age, he needs that extra assistance to be able to continue to maintain all the stuff that he has built up over that time. And then from 40 to 50, you can continue to make the progress, maybe even a little better than you made from 30 to 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's enticing, and the medical system allows that to be something that's prescribed. So exactly. why would you refrain from that? But what you said in the beginning, or the reason why you would consider it, when you've reached your genetic max, once you know that your diet is on point, your training is on point, you've put in a solid 4 years of training at least, right? Because that's another thing that we don't talk about. People that they get in the gym, they just want to get jacked, and they go, okay, I need to eat right, I need to train, and I need to do drugs. And that's like completely not right. Like, the drugs are so much the very, very, very last thing that you really should never add unless you have a serious reason.
Prove to yourself that you can commit to a perfect training plan and diet for years and years and years before you think about steroids.
Yeah, and again, the real reason for that is it just makes you so much more injury prone. Your muscles will grow at a much faster rate than your bones and your joints. Yeah. So, and if you're a complete newbie to lifting, like when you first start lifting, you can't really lift much weight. So as you strengthen your muscles, you eventually get to being able to lift enough weight that you can start strengthening your bones and your joints on another level. If you take steroids right away, your muscles get so strong so quick that you're guaranteed you're gonna fuck yourself up.
And if you're an arm wrestler, even worse.
That's why you get guys, right? Like we talked about,
big bodybuilders who the first time pulling they break something because their tendons and joints are not conditioned like their muscles are.
Yeah.
Right, and they're just not a good recipe for.
And they're able to access so much power. Like, they're strong, but again, the connections just aren't there, and things snap. Ian Valere is a perfect example with Devin, right?
Yeah, I was arm wrestling Devin Laird. He's like one of the best arm wrestlers of all time. I mean, I didn't know who he was when I arm wrestled him. I mean, now he's probably one of the most popular arm wrestlers. Like, really has built up the sport of arm wrestling more than anyone on the planet. But I mean, this is 2012, and it was a local arm wrestling competition here in Ottawa. It literally sounded like a gun went off. It was so loud. Like think of a gun shooting in your face. Like, it was actually that loud. Because, I mean, you're thinking of all the pressure that I can generate plus he can generate, and then just the weakest link just exploding. So it was literally just like, it was like that's what it sounded like. It was like that loud. And my arm was like this, and then my knuckles hit the table out.
Right? And there's many other examples of that. Big guys, strong guys that get into the sport and then just all of a sudden snap because they're strong enough to apply the pressure to break a bone, but they don't have the bone structure to hold it up yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of like souping up a car. You gotta reinforce the framework before you add 200 horsepower to the engine, or else you're just gonna rip the car apart.
Yeah. So bottom line, when should you take steroids?
Only when you've been prescribed by a doctor. Yeah. Other than that, fucking train naturally, train hard, do whatever you can to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, but it is a personal choice. So if you really think you want to take steroids, make sure you do all the research required, which is probably more than you're expecting. Think about all the risks and all the rewards, and make sure that you have a good reason to do it.
Yeah, do a lot of research, guys. There's so many stupid stories that you hear of people that, again, they think it's some magic pill, so they just start taking it, and they have no idea what they're in for. It's a life-changing decision, and you really need to take it seriously. Yeah. So,
If you have any comments or questions for us based on this video, please let us know in the comments.
Subscribe, like, share, comment, as he said, all that stuff.
And Monkey's out.
Peace.